Welcome back. It is another series on how to get out of living check to check. Y'all ready? This one's gonna be rough. How do we get out of this living check to check? We create a budget. I know, it's a bad word. I don't want a budget. It makes me adult. I don't like adulting, but we have to do it. So writing a budget. Now, here's where I differ from Dave Ramsey. I add a few things in my budget that aren't necessarily Dave approved. But I do follow his every dollar plan. So I do the zero-based budgeting. And how I manage my budgeting is I start with my check and how much is coming in. And I do it for the month, even though I get paid bi-weekly. So for the month, I have this much money coming into my account. Now, because I know that my husband and I are on a joint account and then 2 individual accounts, what we do is do a budget for the joint account and then a budget for our individual accounts, okay? So for the joint account, what we know off rip has to come out, mortgage, because we gotta have somewhere to live. And so we're taking care of the 4 walls of our home, okay? So that's what's coming out of our joint account. So the mortgage is coming out, water, the electricity is coming out, grocery comes out of our joint account, anything for our children. So their gymnastics account, her aftercare, baby school, whatever for our children, that's what comes out. And so how I've done it is most of those bills are consistent, except for our electricity bill. Our water bill kind of varies as well. So what I did was I gathered 3 months worth of bills for our electricity and our water bill. And I took the average of that, and that is what we put into the account. So no, I didn't. I took what the highest bill was, and I looked at our highest months. And so I put that into our account. So we live in Florida. It's hot, okay, real hot. So our highest bill comes in August. So I looked at our August bill and decided we needed to put $250 in our account for electricity every month. Done. I looked at our water bill and decided $60 goes into our account for water. Done. Everything else is consistent. So I know out of my check, I am putting this much into our joint account, right? So now I have my check that's coming in. Next, I have my joint account. So that's taking up a big chunk of my budget. The next thing that I do is now deal with whatever is left in my account. Now, what else do I have to pay from that money that's left in my account? Well, for my 4 walls, which includes my car, because that's how I get to work to make the money to take care of my household, I have my car payment and I have gas that I need to pay for. So those are the first things that I take out. Then I have my phone bill that I also need to account for. So I take that out because I need that to communicate. So I take that out. Then I also take out, all right, so I'm gonna give you my real numbers, okay? And I'm looking down because they're written down. So in my account this hits my account every pay period. $1,458. That is what is left over after I pay my part into our joint account. So from there, I have budgeted $175 for gas, $80 for my phone bill, $200, I'm sorry, for tithing, $100 for my miscellaneous, whatever is for me. Now, here's where you can cut. If you don't have money to give yourself to spend on yourself, don't do it. Restaurant, if you can't afford to eat out, you better cook. Learn how to do it. Take some salads to work or something. I did it for a very long time. I put money into the account for vacation, wedding, and then I had my sinking funds. But let me tell you, when I first started this in 2016, I gave myself $50 for the entire month for my miscellaneous. And that usually ended up getting spent on my children. I didn't even get to spend it on me. because sometimes they need it and I didn't have it anywhere else, and it came out of my miscellaneous money. Now our budget is $150 eating out every pay period. Back when we started, that budget was $100 for the month for all 5 of us. And I had to put that in my budget because I knew that being a working mom, sometimes I was too tired to come home and cook dinner. Sometimes, because my husband is also involved in the community, he was too tired to come home and cook dinner. It was just easier to pick up something on the way home, and that was what was dinner. So sometimes that meant we went to Wendy's and got a 4 for $4. Sometimes that meant we went to McDonald's and ate off the dollar menu. These aren't healthy choices. No, they're not, but they are choices that we made. Our grocery, we had accounted for $500 for our groceries. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the money for it. I had to cut, and groceries was something that I cut. And so our budget back then was $300. The theory is that you do $100 per person in your family starting at $300. So there are 5 of us, so we should have $500 in our grocery budget. But back then I couldn't afford it. So $300 is all that I could afford. And how I made up for the difference was I started couponing. And I know some people will say, you know, you don't buy stuff that you need with coupons. You end up getting some extra stuff that nobody wants, and you don't need. But I found a way to be able to use coupons only for the things that I wanted and the things that I needed. And if I used a coupon for something that I had no need for at all, it was only because either 1, it made me money, or 2, it made my bill less so that I could buy something that I did need. So that is where you start. Create a budget. Tell your money where to go. Make sure that you know where every dime of your money is going, and you give it a name. So if you need to eat out, create a spot in your budget for that. If you need money to go to the laundromat, create a spot in your budget for that. Whatever it is that you need, you create it. And what's left over, you decide if you're going to have a sinking fund, or if you're going to throw all of that over to your debt, or if you're going to split it up. But make a budget. All right? Until next time, journey on.